What would you do if you were small? Like shrunk down, not like short. I would probably live on my coffee table with a Lego house and use my TV as an indoor theater. Or a home theater. I mean, it is indoors. Most theaters are indoors anyway. Anyway, it's an interesting question, and there are a lot of places that you can take this concept. Instead, we got Downsizing, the very forgettable 2017 film starring Matt Damon. I remember watching the trailers for this and thinking, okay, so they're small, but like, what's it about? What's this movie about? Does it matter that they're small? Because even in the trailers, it never seemed to matter that they're small. There was never any conflict from them being small. It was just, hey, giant flower, because we're small. You know? And it turns out, I was right to think that. Because I don't really think they thought of what the movie was about before they made it. With that in mind, let's talk about Downsizing. I think Downsizing has a pretty cool concept. Basically, a Norwegian scientist finds a way to shrink people down to like 5 inches tall, and it's a permanent procedure, so it would be a commitment for you and your future descendants. The economic and environmental benefits to this are, I think, pretty well done, but they're also pretty obvious when you stop to think for like 5 seconds. If you're super small, you're gonna have less waste, and things will cost less because you need less stuff. You're not gonna buy a whole pound of meat every week, you're gonna buy, I don't know, a fucking crumb. Why would you even buy a crumb? Although they are small enough to eat crumbs. That's weird. Like, they could have been riding ants in this movie. They could have done so much more than they did. But they did nothing. We'll get to that, don't worry. The beginning of this movie sets this up very nicely, as well as how the procedure is integrated into society over the course of 10 years. And again, this is done pretty well in general, since the financial benefits alone would be enough for a lot of people to go through with it. Now, when you're watching the movie, it might seem like this is being rushed a bit. Seems like it should take more time, but I'm willing to attribute that to the fact that we're seeing a time jump of 10 years over the course of like maybe 5 minutes. Maybe it would take longer than 10 years, I don't know. This isn't real. So we're introduced to our protagonist, Paul, played by Matt Damon.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
During the time jumps, we see that he's living with his mother until she dies. Then he's living with his wife, whom he met during the 10-year jump, but they're still living in his mother's house. So that's the situation currently. So Paul and his wife are kind of having financial woes, so they start to consider downsizing so they could not do that anymore. Because if they sell off all their stuff, like their house, their car, their clothes, everything, they'll have the equivalent of $12 million when they're downsized. They won't actually they are not worth $12 million. I just want to make that clear. They're not worth that much. But when they're downsized, their finances will equal $12 million. His wife doesn't go through with the procedure because she just doesn't want to, which is fair. But she ends up telling him after he's gone through with the procedure, so it's too late for him. But for some reason, their divorce means that he is now poor in their small city, which makes absolutely no sense. Here's some quick and non-exact math for you. And look, it's non-exact because I'm not using specific numbers. I don't give a shit if they have $152,000.05. All right, we're just rounding here. So during their meeting with the people who do the small making, they're told that after they sell off everything and pay off all their debts, they will have a total of about $150,000, which is equivalent to $12 million when they're small. That means that $1 is roughly equivalent to $80 when they're small. Now, we know they had an equity of $150,000 when they got divorced, because I would assume that they would not shrink until after they have sold off all their stuff and paid off all of their debts. Now, during Paul's meetings with his lawyer, they do say that Paul is taking a bad deal after rejecting his wife's first deal for the divorce. But even if the deal he takes says he gets 8% of all of their money, which sounds unrealistic to me because I think most of that money probably would have come from his mother's house, considering they didn't have anything else that was that valuable. But anyway, we'll continue. So let's say that he gets 8% of all their money. 8% of $150,000 would be around $12,000, which after doing the math stuff, that would still be equal to $980,000 for Paul after he's small. I mean, well, he is small. This is all taking place during his smallness. You get the point. Even if Paul takes a terrible deal of 8% of their finances, which I don't know why I'm doing 8%. It could have been like 1% and it still would have been a considerable amount of money for him. But anyway, we'll stick with 8%. Even if he takes 8% of their finances, that's still equivalent to almost $1 million now that he is small. So the fact that he has to live in an apartment and has to take a job at a call center makes absolutely no sense. Now you could say that he's doing this by choice. He just got divorced. He's going to be alone and have nothing to do, so maybe he's looking for something to do, which is fair. The movie doesn't tell you that though. They just make it seem like, okay, Paul got divorced, he had to move out of the big fancy house into an apartment, and now he's working at a shitty job that he hates. So, I don't think that's true. Anyway, that's enough math and speculation. The rest of the movie is fine. There aren't really many things to complain about, it's just really uneventful and at times really awkward.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, Dushan.
May I come in?
I mean, the movie itself is solid-ish. There aren't any glaring problems, is what I'm trying to say. There's just nothing about it, aside from the small thing. The overall problem with Downsizing is that the plot just keeps changing, and it never really matters that the people are small. Now, the idea of a changing plot isn't unique to this movie. This is something that happens in a lot of movies, a lot of stories in general. It actually happens in one of my favorite movies, About Time, which is not the Justin Timberlake movie. About Time is a movie about a guy who can travel in time to any moment in his past and change things. He uses his powers to find true love. It's adorable. I love this movie and you should watch it. He actually accomplishes this goal pretty quickly, and the rest of the movie is about what happens after he's found his true love and all the challenges that come about from his time travel.
Yeah, but no oral sex, I promise you.
The important thing to focus on is that even though the overall goal of the character changes throughout the movie, his time travel never becomes irrelevant. He keeps using it, which gives him new challenges to face, and it also fuels some of the most emotional moments of the movie. Compare that to Downsizing, however, the fact that the people are small is never relevant. Literally never relevant. Now you might be saying, well, Downsizing is the reason his wife left him. And that's only technically true. His wife left him because she felt like she was living her life for him, doing what he wants. Downsizing was just what made her realize that, and the writers could have made it literally anything else if the movie wasn't about people getting small. And if you still don't believe me, why not? I'm a trustworthy guy. Let's go through the story. Skipping the divorce, since everything before that is mostly setting up the concept of downsizing, I'll go through everything that happens in this movie without mentioning downsizing at all. So, Paul gets divorced and has to move into an apartment, where his upstairs neighbor likes to throw parties with loud music, and they meet because Paul keeps yelling at him to keep the music down. After he breaks up with his new girlfriend, though, Paul goes to his neighbor's party and passes out under his table. In the morning, he spends time with his neighbor, getting to know him better, and he ends up meeting his housekeepers, one of whom turns out to be a famous activist and protester. Using his knowledge of medicine and bones? Chiropractics? He used to be a chiropractor. Is chiropractics... Is that a study? Is that a doctor thing? Chiropractics? Anyway, using his knowledge of medicine, he offers to help her walk better with her prosthetic leg, and she demands that instead he help her sick friend. So he goes with her to the rundown area she lives in to meet this friend and finds out that she has stomach cancer. The friend, not the person that he's with. He does what he can do to help her friend, which mostly boils down to just giving her painkillers to help ease the pain, and agrees to come back another day to adjust her leg for her. When he does, he ends up breaking her leg, so now he has to help her live her life while she waits for a new leg. So he helps her clean houses and collect food for her community, because that's most of the things she does. When he goes to clean his neighbor's apartment with her, his neighbor takes pity on him and lets him come with on a trip to Norway as an excuse to get away from her for a while. But she says that she'll go with, since, as a famous activist, she was invited by the people that they're going to see to come visit sometime. So they go to Norway, where they find that the people there believe that the world is ending and decide to hide in a bunker for about 8,000 years. And by the way, it's not all of Norway, it's a small group of people. It's a cult thing. So the Norwegians invite Paul and his friends to join, and Paul is the only one who accepts, but he changes his mind when he realizes that he would rather be with the woman that he's been helping this whole time. And that's literally everything that happens. Aside from some jokes, props, and set pieces, it makes no difference whether they're small or full size. And that's the real problem with this movie. The idea of being small is interesting, and it presents a lot of unique challenges to overcome. But by the time Paul, our main character, becomes small, all of those problems have been solved. The small people are getting everything they need, and the places they live are exactly the same as their full-size counterparts. There are some big plants and insects and birds when they get to Norway, but that's it. And these don't even affect the plot. They're just there. They're just set dressing. They're just visuals. Nothing happens with them. They don't do anything with them. I'm not going to go so far to say that Downsizing is a terrible movie, because it's not. It's serviceable, and it works as a simple story. And I really wouldn't blame anyone for liking it, because it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's just disappointing that they had this really interesting concept that the marketing really focused on, and the best thing to come out of it in the movie was just these kind of funny jokes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to. If not, maybe reconsider. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you much.